Thanks, everyone. Really excited to, come on out and join us. We have 5 great guests that'll be joining me today, a mix of publishers and commerce companies, so hopefully we get interesting point of views from both sides of the table. I'm going to ask each of you to just give really brief intro into who you are and what your company does and what you do at that company.
Sure.
So we'll start with Courtney.
Cool. Hi, I'm Courtney Harwood. I'm the CEO of Keep. Keep is a lifestyle publisher where products are our content. So our community brings a product into Keep, and the user can discover all the great things from over 50,000 stores, and then they click out to the retailer for purchase.
I'm Neela Ali. I'm the e-commerce strategy manager at Time Inc., which is a media company. Some of our well-known brands are InStyle, People, Real Simple, Travel and Leisure, among about 90 brands.
Hi, I'm Frank Conway. I'm the head of product at Refinery 29. Refinery 29 is a new media company. It's one of the largest fashion and beauty properties online, with about 25 million cross-platform visitors and several hundred million video views on YouTube, Snapchat Discover, Facebook, etc.
Hi, I'm Ben Reed. I'm on the strategic partnerships team at Groupon. Groupon's a marketplace for local or for things to see, do, and eat, and handle partnerships.
Hi, my name is Dan Armstrong. I oversee distribution for Ticketmaster and Live Nation. Ticketmaster is a leading player in the ticketing space, and what our mission is to make contextually relevant connections to fans off the Ticketmaster platform.
Great, thanks everyone. So thought it'd be smart to start with something pretty timely, which is the arrival of new types of payments on mobile web. So I'm speaking specifically about Apple Pay and I think soon Android Pay as well. Now, the business press loves to get excited about these types of things. They're new and shiny. But I'm curious from both the publisher side and the commerce side, something like Apple Pay, which is just specific to Safari browser, how big of an effect or potential impact will that have on your businesses, do you think, and sort of how can it possibly change your business, maybe from the publisher side too? And I'll let anyone jump in who wants to kick it off.
From the commerce side, I'll jump in. So I think it's going to be massive for us over time. 60% of our users are on mobile, and many of those are in our apps, but mobile web is still a significant part of our business and growing relative to desktop. And we're building a consolidated platform across our desktop and mobile experiences to make sure that we have the best in breed purchase abilities across any platform. And for instance, Apple Pay and Android Pay, we were launch partners with on the app side, and it had a significant impact in conversion. And so meanwhile,
you want to give us some specific numbers that I'm sure Apple would love?
I don't have the specific numbers that I can provide, but it's significant lift, I'll say. Okay. So, but the traffic that we have on mobile web still dwarfs what's on the apps. And so I think it's a huge opportunity to leverage.
Is that shifting or is that staying steady?
It's shifting, but the divide is still significant. So there's a lot of growth to happen there. Yeah.
I would definitely say it's a big needle mover for us. So we're 80% mobile, and we have native apps, both iOS and Android, as well as obviously mobile web. So for us, the fact that users are converting, once they discover something on Keep, they're converting on the retailer site. We lose a lot of, because they're either not optimized for mobile or whatever, we lose a huge amount of conversion there. So something like an Apple Pay for us will be more significant. We're heavier iOS and Android, but as well Android Pay. We expect that to boost conversion significantly. We see almost 50-50 from desktop and mobile, which is, I think, very high compared to the average statistics, but we hope to see that grow. And that, when every percentage that moves, is very significant for our business.
Neela, did you want to?
Yeah, as a major publisher, our main goal is to minimize that friction to conversion and identifying new ways that people can find content, be inspired, and actually be able to click and purchase what they're seeing. The challenge for us is Apple Pay significant on our sites, or is it significant driving that traffic to the retailer site and allowing them to convert. Right now, the experience is just so inconsistent because not everyone's integrated with Apple Pay. So some of the retailers on our site might be, some aren't. If we bring that experience on our site, the other challenge is we're not a retailer. So we don't have a ton of inventory. No one's shopping around. Our average order values are much lower if you're buying one product. So from the affiliate perspective, it's exciting, but I think there's a lot of challenges that come with it.
So I should have given this intro, but I'll do it now. So I cover e-commerce and payments at Recode. Prior to that, I covered digital media at Advertising Age, and this is going back 4 or 5 years. All I heard from publishers was the idea of content and commerce. At that point, a lot of the talk was around actually hosting commerce on the publisher site. I mean, Refinery did this for a long time. A bunch of other people did. And I guess I wonder, is that idea dead? You spoke to some of the challenges. You're not a retailer. Because when I saw the Apple Pay announcement, I thought perhaps this would allow for that to happen or solve one problem of a publisher hosting transactions on their site. How do you think about sort of the advantages and disadvantages as a publisher of hosting the commerce?
I don't think it's dead. I think we just have to think about it differently. I think we're obviously very top of the funnel. It's getting as close to the bottom of the funnel without, I mean, retailers are the experts at conversion. They're the experts at merchandising. So it's bringing that experience on our sites so that obviously the readers engage with our content and they're not hopping off of our site to go to a retailer and then we lose their interest. I think it's finding out, is it having customer reviews on our site just to get them that much closer to converting and then sending a high intent to purchase customer directly to the retailer. I think it's understanding exactly where we pass the customer off and how that's done in a seamless way.
Yeah, I would say that for us, it's a matter of focus. We made a very considered decision to refocus our brand on content. That's where we
Can you give the background of what the company
Sure,
used
yeah,
to
yeah.
do?
So Refinery 29, in about 2010, 2011, Refinery 29 had a voucher program where it was partnering with emerging style, fashion, jewelry brands here in New York City and Los Angeles, and growing an audience or growing a user base of people who are more curious about emerging brands, and Refinery 29 was creating content around those brands. Come about 2012.
And people were making purchases on the site, or?
People were purchasing vouchers that would in a similar Groupon model towards these emerging brands. They were also purchasing products, but the merchant was holding inventory, and they would be drop shipped from the merchant. But what we saw was that our audience became more and more attracted to the content that we are creating around these designers, to the point where our media business grew 200% in 2012, 2013, and we made a concerted effort to pivot to focus now more directly on media. With respect to Apple Pay, Refinery 29, similar to Time Inc., has a affiliate business model. And one of the things that we look at is retailers who are converting. So when we're trying to make a decision around a product that we're recommending and which retailer we're pushing it to, we're looking for a retailer who has a highly optimized mobile experience, because that's where most of our readers are coming from. And when those retailers are introducing Apple Pay as a convenience, as a further reduction of friction, we're going to take that into consideration to determine which retailer we're going to push our consumer to.
Got it. For our panelists from the commerce side, obviously the idea of distributed commerce, or finding customers wherever they may be spending time on the web, whether it's an online store or not. How do you start the decision-making process of where you're going to invest your time, what platforms you're going to invest in, and has that shifted over time?
I would say from distribution is an important part of our strategy right now.
And your title is head of, sorry.
VP and GM of Distributed Commerce.
Okay.
So
This is all you think. This is a lot
They
of
made
what
a
you think.
title for it, so I
Yeah.
guess it matters to the company a little bit. But for us, I think it has to do with finding the
Maybe.
maybe not. We'll see. It has a lot to do with the complementary audiences that are really related to our brand, although perhaps not directly in our swim lane. So, for instance, if you're on a music discovery site where you're discovering the artists that you love and you're potentially listening to their music or seeing their event listings, we want to bring that purchase, that hosted commerce that you described further up the funnel to increase conversion. And we're doing that with some partners today, and we're seeing significant lift in conversion. So, for instance, we have an implementation with a partner called Bands in Town, which is a music discovery app, and we've increased mobile conversion by over 100%. On a very consistent basis. And so we don't think it's something that will work for everyone, but as a result, we're building strategies that are around deep native integrations through APIs, as well as more lightweight integrations through purchase widgets that a publisher can put on their site in 3 minutes, basically. And they may not be the sites that have the highest purchase intent necessarily, but you're still at the moment that that consumer is thinking about making that purchase, we're making it a little bit easier in that case. So I think that we don't, for our business, and this may be different for others, we don't believe hosted commerce is dead at all. In fact, we think we're pretty bullish on it.
And two names I don't think I heard you mention were, well, Facebook and, well, we can add three. So Twitter, Facebook, maybe Snapchat someday. Are you thinking or working with any of those?
Yeah, so we have an integration with Facebook right now to sell tickets in Facebook, and it's something that we're in the testing phases. We're growing. We're seeing a tremendous amount of promise there, but that's a big platform, and it's one that it takes time to build towards. So today you can go see general admission shows through Facebook at the House of Blues. You can't necessarily buy tickets to a Beyonce concert today, but that will happen over time. Twitter and Snapchat are much different use cases. They're definitely platforms that we think are exciting to leverage. Twitter, we did a little bit of testing with. The real-time nature of it is challenging, I think, for commerce. I think that's why you've seen Twitter take a bit of a step back in that. But I think Snapchat, there's a world of opportunity there, especially as in the artist or team space, there's so much engagement between those artists and teams with their fans.
Yeah.
I think it, over time, will be a fantastic opportunity to buy.
And just back to the idea of publishers who are getting deep into affiliate, I've always wondered, as traffic goes to mobile, how challenging that makes sort of the affiliate model, period, and for a lot of reasons. You talked about whether or not a retailer site is optimized. I think in our initial conversation before we got up here, Frank, you were talking about the challenge of, as publishers push out content to Facebook Instant Articles and Google AMP, you have the challenge of the actual, how the affiliate link is designed so that it goes through to these distributed content channels. Can affiliate work at scale on mobile, and sort of what are the solutions you're finding to solve these?
I mean, I think the core of the problem is attribution and tracking. So I think it's using the right platform to make sure, because I think if Instant Articles is where the revenue is being generated, obviously Facebook deserves some of that revenue, but so does the publisher because they created the content. So it's figuring out what platform to use that has the most transparent tracking that benefits both sides. Because I think the beauty of affiliate marketing is that it's a mutually beneficial partnership.
Yep.
The more content we produce, the more sales we drive, we make money, you make money, it's a great deal.
So where does Facebook stand today on transparency?
Right. And optimize, and not just
That was
saying.
a question.
To be honest, I actually work with Facebook more in the sense of promoting our articles through our own feed.
Okay.
And anytime we do that, I have my tracking so I can tell where the sales are going. In terms of Instant Articles, I don't believe that's the same because our affiliate links fall off. So I would say no transparency.
And I also think part of it is the retailer's responsibility. So I think there's no question that affiliate will only get better over time on mobile. Everything is going to mobile, so it has to. But it is also the retailer's responsibility to keep up. And I think we talk about them optimizing their sites.
Do they want to keep up to give you credit?
I'm not going to speak for them, but it's not exactly
Any
in
gentlemen
their
want to speak about?
favor so we lose orders from our native app to somebody who puts something in the cart, say on ASOS within our native app. If they then go to their mobile browser later, it's not there. So they may have been like, oh, I saw that cute bag on Keep, I'm going to put it in my cart now from ASOS. We lose that sale. It's not, ASOS isn't really incentivized to make that technology work. It works great on certain retailers. So I think over time they will, with enough pressure from the publishers. I think it's inevitable it will all work, but there are certainly gaps.
For Groupon, having a robust affiliate network is crucial. So having correct attribution and strong attribution is great. We talk about context and being where the customer is. With Groupon, it's not really like a content thing. People don't pin deals and they don't really write articles about them. It's there's content on restaurants, and it's also about being context in the real world. But it is important there's so many different touch points. So we need those affiliate relationships, and so we've invested in our own platform from the ground up to build all the hooks to make sure we have attribution. And I think we're even getting into, in terms of like last click versus top of the funnel, like figuring out ways to sort of split the commission and provide a correct attribution that way, just to make sure that we don't have an affiliate that's feeling burned.
Got it. I also wanted to, if anyone has questions, I don't know if we've been doing that today, but I always like audience questions, so you can shout and I'll shout to them. You mentioned context, real world context, and I was wondering, I know we're talking a lot about context as it relates to online content and commerce mixing in that online setting. Do any of you in sort of this increasingly mobile consumption world think about in a deep way where someone actually is in the physical world when they're either reading something, watching a video, making purchasing decisions, or is that a secondary decision? And anyone can jump in.
That's core. That's everything for Groupon. The early days of Groupon was pushing deals to someone, so you weren't in the mindset of wanting to go to a restaurant, but you saw this deal and it was 50% off. It was kind of novel, and you bought something you weren't necessarily looking for or intending to, and that was pretty cool, right? That was very powerful. But the Groupon of today is a marketplace, and that means finding intent, and intent with something to eat or getting your hair cut is an extremely real world thing. Where you are in the real world, what you're doing, where your attention is, and so that's the challenge. We talked about this a little bit. With if you were just a single vertical, if you were a food app, it at least narrows down the realm which you have to focus on in terms of what's this person doing. Is it around mealtime? Where are they? Are they walking down the street? But with Groupon's verticals, it's so broad that figuring out like what the right magical case is for food versus salons versus things to do. Are they in home? Are they on a trip? Is extremely challenging. But like that's the holy grail for us.
I think that the concepts of segmentation and distribution are really tightly tied there. So for us, we segment our Ticketmaster fans into, are you a genre junkie? Are you someone who travels a lot? And there's different marketing strategies internally for those different type of segments. And so we're always thinking about not just the fact that you live in New York and so you see Broadway shows in New York, but that you actually might be in Chicago on a trip and you might be interested in something there. So you have to tie that back to not just your own internal marketing strategies, but then how can you leverage distribution and other affiliate networks, other channels that you may not reach as a destination yourself while those people are out in the world. And so, the corollary to that in our world that is, a brand that's been around for a long time is we used to have a very big retail footprint. That's evolving, obviously. Retail in terms of going up to...
Evolving is, I like that term.
Dead, you could use that term too. You could use that term too. But I mean, obviously that's how when we grew up, we bought tickets, but still there are digital corollaries to that we're continually trying to tease out and explore.
The types of searches that we see users arriving to Refinery29's mobile site from are things like best drugstore mascara. So we are seeing a trend in those types of searches, so we try to go where our users are and go into the drugstore. So we've had
Tell me what that means, besides trying to figure it out.
So we've had displays where we've partnered with retailers where we've had displays where it's the products that we're endorsing. So we've had these types of displays in drugstores. We've had sections of H&M's store that are outfits or mannequins that are styled with outfits that we've recommended for, let's say, music festivals. So we're taking the data that we're seeing consumers do on their mobile devices, the searches that they're performing, where they end up on our site as a place to get style inspiration from, and we take that information and we partner with the retailers to figure out how do we take what we know, the insights around our audience and our audience engagement on our site, and help them provide an experience that's in store where we can participate in that.
Got it. We have a question. Great. Can you tell us who you are and who you work for? Okay. So the question, just in case some people didn't hear, was, have you seen what technologies have really helped conversion in our business?
So the one I mentioned earlier, but I'll be a little more clear about it, was iOS 9, the tracking of cookies. We saw a real bump in our mobile conversion on the publisher site because that cookie was being tracked. So either from our mobile web or a native app to the publisher's mobile site. It breaks sometimes, but 9 times out of 10, we're getting that credit, and so we see a much bigger conversion rate on mobile. So that was significant for us.
This is like a softball answer, but I mean, just mobile in general, because 60%, I mean, similar number of our transactions are mobile now. And again, the use case is walking down the street, being there at the point of intent, and it's paid off. We've invested heavily in it. We were just, ComScore just released something that said Groupon's the top 25 most used app now in the United States. We weren't there before. We jumped onto the list. Second most used retail app. So just investing in mobile, sort of an obvious answer, but I mean, that's made all the difference.
Yeah, and certainly the industry isn't fully there yet. I think that everyone has to build better experiences. My company, all companies, but I mean, just year over year, we've seen a 47% increase in the percentage of sales on mobile quarter over quarter. So it's continually. I agree with you. It's the obvious one staring us all in the face, and we just have to continue to improve that.
And I think a technology that we haven't necessarily leveraged, and I don't know what the best solution out there is, but something that's focused on SEO optimization for content sites, I think could be a huge increase in conversion, not necessarily directly, but you're giving us a higher volume of high intent to purchase users. To Frank's point earlier, a lot of our traffic or a lot of our sales come from that reader who's searching like the best travel shoes or the best mascaras. And once that audience is getting there and we know that they're interested in converting, that's where we see the high conversion rate. So if there is a technology that can make us SEO optimized and targeted towards the right audience, I think that's where we would see a huge uptick in our conversion rates.
Equipment too, right? So I think we've seen a drop in sales from tablet as phones have gotten bigger. So every time a new phone is released and it gets bigger, that just means mobile checkout is a little bit easier because the boxes are bigger. So that definitely has helped.
Probably have time for one more question if we have one. Otherwise, yep, right here. Just tell us who you are. Maybe can you stand up so we could hear you better?
Yeah, I'm Peter Gray. I work for Dow Jones. Obviously, you guys got lots of different products. They're all not specific use cases that you're talking about a little bit different. But just as a ballpark, I wonder if you could share a total conversion rate per purchase that you either shoot for or achieve. Just shameless.
Competitive. Who wants to start?
I mean,
You're
I'll
full
say,
of figures, but I don't know
Yeah.
how specific they are.
Well, and I'm gonna be even less specific on that because I'll explain why.
Yeah.
I mean, for us, we're in the on-sale business. So when Garth Brooks or Beyonce goes on sale, we've got a 15-20% conversion rate, if not higher than that. but then you're 7 days into a sale and it's different. I mean, I think that our mobile conversion rate that we shoot for is north of 3 to 4%. But of course, when people are in our funnel at that moment, there is a high intent to buy. So I don't know if we are consistent with a typical retailer who's at Walmart looking to buy a washer and dryer or some pants. So we're different in that space. But so, I mean, if you look at our conversion rate by day, Friday morning, Saturday morning, it's 4 to 5x what it may be other times of the week.
That was really good.
Pretty specific, huh?
Yeah.
There you go.
And I think from the content side, I think conversion rate, like retail average, 1 to 3 is considered healthy. I think just proving out the model that we can drive higher conversion rates than what they see on average is enough to make the case that it's worth investing time and resources into our business and giving us those competitive rates through affiliate or building a partnership with us. So I think it's identifying for the partners that you're working with, what are their average conversion rates and how can you prove out that you're more competitive than that.
Great. I think we're out of time. I appreciate all the awesome questions and the attention, and thank you to our awesome guests.
Thank you.